Hello, y'all. How are you doing? Barry, thank you for the water. I don't know if I should be encouraging this, but thank you for the water. How are you doing today? Rex, good to see you. And we have got Indy in here. I've got Twitch staff in here, chat. We have to wait until Indy leaves before we can start doing the real party crazy stuff, right? We've got Rex, we've got Rez, we've got TV Head. What is going on, y'all? I haven't streamed in a hot minute. Had an interesting end to my week last week. We needed a new roof on our house. We've needed it for a while. The work began on Thursday. It was supposed to be a one-day project. Thursday, we don't like interesting, Barry, because in this case, interesting means lots more money. When did you add the padding feature in Stroke Glow Shadow? That was probably 2 years ago, maybe, Rex? Maybe 2 years ago? Maybe a year and a half? It's been a while. It's been a while. So anyways, on Thursday, we have a detached garage in our house. Our house doesn't have a garage, but we have a detached garage. They got the garage completely done, in one morning, and then rain came in, so they had to stop working on it. Friday morning, they were expecting to be out of here by, I don't know, maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. Something like that. I'll just point out they finished up at 8:30 p.m. So, yes, they start tearing off the shingles on our existing roof. And they always factor in a little bit of, how you say it, extra sheathing to go down. And in our case, with the size of our roof and house, between the garage and the house, they figured two sheets of sheathing would be about what they would expect for a job this size. When the truck arrived with an entire pallet of sheathing midday on Friday, I knew I was in trouble. 38 sheets of sheathing had to get replaced on the roof. 38! And while they were doing it, they found a whole section of our eaves were rotting out, and so a bunch of the eaves had to be replaced. And yeah. I haven't gotten the additional bill for the additional work, but I have a feeling it's not gonna feel too good, Chad. It's not gonna feel too good at all. I'm dreading it. So that was Friday. I've been working behind the scenes a bit on retro effects, and maybe I can show y'all a little preview of some of the things that have been added or changed in retro effects. There's a lot more work to do. I basically have I didn't overhaul, but I changed significantly, we'll say. Well, we refactored the NTSC effect and completely overhauled the VHS effect, because frankly the VHS effect kind of sucked. Now it doesn't suck so much. Bone Dragon, the house is from 1970, and it is actually a modular house that was brought here in 2 halves on a truck and placed on like a full, like, finished walkout basement kind of a deal, which is really interesting. And that was part of the problem. On these modular houses, they try to get the weight as light as possible because they have to truck them in. And so they used very, very thin sheathing on the roof. It was pretty much junk anyways, and so most of it had to be replaced. It was in bad shape. Not only that, but when we bought the house, we ended up having to swap out the roof. This would have been 15 years ago. And we didn't have a whole lot of money at the time, so we got like the cheapest shingles and everything that we could. And when they were stripping the old roof back then, now in Minnesota, what building code kind of lets you do? Building code lets you put 1 layer of shingles on top of 1 layer of shingles. So if you have 1 layer down, you can go over the top of it. You're not really supposed to, but you can do 1 layer. They found 6 layers. They found 6 layers where they just put it in the bottom. It was in bad shape. We had like no money because we just renovated the entire house, and yeah, we had a couple dudes with a pickup truck show up and do the roofing for us, and so that probably contributed to the extra cost that I incurred last week. But you know, it is what it is. Hey McNets, how you doing? So yes, that was the saga of the roof. So I'm really hoping Elgato and the OBS team has some additional projects for me coming up here, because that roof ended up being pricey. I think the music levels are a little loud. I'm gonna turn them down. Is that better levels for the music? I know they were a little loud in my ears. Or are they too quiet now? I don't know. So yes, I spent a lot of time end of last week and over the weekend working on retro effects. I can show a preview of it. It'll be a little bit before it's released, but there was a pretty deep dive. I mean, I had Windows open for the old NTSC spec from 1955, I think the document I was reading was from, which was all sorts of interesting. And then I took a pretty deep dive into, you know, why don't we just show it off? Why don't we just do it, chat? We'll show it off. Hey, Exceldro, how you doing? Let's go. Hold on. I gotta open this up. Oh, I know why I'm in the wrong place. Give me a second. I know you're not seeing this. I'm just going through all of the files. So let me just so that I don't show you like my tax returns, which I also had to do estimated taxes on Monday. That hurt. That's never a fun time. And I do have tax return document stuff here. I want to make sure I'm not showing anything off. How you doing, Stitch? How are you doing? Okay. Let's open this up. We're gonna do a little demo of some of the new stuff in oh yeah, we'll just do this. Some of the new stuff in retro effects, because I think it's kind of fun. Let's see, it's gonna boot. Oh, there we go. We got all the VHS stuff going on here. Welcome on in, Zero Places. So yes, look at this. Let's set our preview scaling. Scale the window. There we go. Look at this VHS effect we've got going on here. We've got our head tracking noise at the bottom. We've got some general tracking noise. This is all adjustable. We've got little tape dropouts here. Occasionally there's a pop line. Occasionally we have some tape wrinkle that rolls up. The other thing, hey Exceldro, how you doing? The other thing you may notice is the chroma noise in the back, which is that classic VHS look that happens. If we go to our filters here, this is, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do our little scaling deal, because this is what really sells it. Where's the rainbow line that sometimes appears at the top? Hold on one second here. VHS, there we go. So I do have at the top, there we go. Now this is looking V8. Is this not looking very VHS? This brings me back. So at the top, we actually do have the flagging effect that went on in some well-used tapes. The top edge of the tape would actually be under more tension than others, and it would get sort of pulled out of alignment. So you'd get this like fluctuating flagging where at the very top it would move. Hold on, pilfers. I'm gonna take a minute and state my deep admiration and respect for Finite Singularity and his lengthy journey into the tech space. It's not easy to grow up in a gang, spend your adolescence in and out of prison, and finally leave the streets behind for Visual Basic. Yeah, pilfers, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It looks like you made a copy of a copy. Well, so here's the thing. The settings for this, we got frame jitter. We got tape wrinkle. The tape wrinkle, here, let's crank our occurrence probability way up. The tape wrinkle, we've got size. We can make it a huge tape wrinkle that's going to work its way up, or, you know, something much more subtle and reasonable, right? So there goes our tape wrinkle going up the frame. We've got crease tear in the tape wrinkle, which you can see when the next tape wrinkle goes up. That crease tear is how smooth it is within the tape wrinkle. And we can also start adding noise into the tape wrinkle. So we've got all these different parameters for tape wrinkle. Let's crank this down to a much more reasonable level. Pop lines. So pop lines are these, see these darker fading streaks that are going across. These happen when there's actually a scratch in the tape, and they tend to be wider, they tend to pop up. They also tend to be very rare. So the default is like 6 a minute. So like 1 every 10 seconds or so on average. We also have how we want to do our noise here. We can set our grain size for our noise. We can set how often the noise recedes. And that's not like go away. That means does the seed for the noise, which basically if we turn this all the way down, you'd get noise that doesn't change at all. Or, you know, you set it to the typical 30 FPS that a VHS tape was at, and you get this very authentic looking noise here. We got that flagging, that skew at the top. So that's this little bend at the top here. We can set a height that goes further down the frame, and we can set how far we kind of go over with that flagging, you know, more around the lines of like, this is a lot more reasonable. We've got our head switching at the bottom. So head switching is going to be this little bit of noise you see at the bottom, and you get this skew that goes on at the bottom as well. So we can set this primary band thickness at the bottom. You could set how offset it is, which is like a horizontal offset. You can set a secondary band thickness and offset, and then how, hold on, there we go. So you're starting to get this other shift that happens. So you can really customize what the head tracking noise looks like. We're gonna just bring this to, I don't know, 0, vertical offset 0. Okay, so we're good there. Then you can set your static intensity, your static band height from your noise. Your tearing on a per line basis that happens. This is like individual jaggies. And then our switch point drift, which is how much it kind of drifts like this. We then have our tracking error, which is this band you see scrolling down right now. Do you think I have enough settings for this? Like, we can get a really thin band, we can get a thicker band. We can change how fast it rolls. What else do we have here? Horizontal displacement. You can see, I stick my hands up here, you get the sort of displacement you would get. Let's see, what do we got? I want to crank that way down. Speed irregularity. So it kind of jumps and moves a bit, which is kind of fun. How ragged the tear is, and then how dense the noise is. So you can, you know, change your noise density on your tracking noise here, and then how compressed our vertical noise is, basically how like vertically dense it is. And then signal fade is to darken the amount of signal you have behind the noise. So if I crank my noise, where's my noise intensity? Hold on. Noise density. Okay, so we'll take that way down. You see how it darkens? That would be signal fade that you get. And then you could do 1 band or 2 bands of tracking noise, depending on if you had a single head or a dual head player. You would get these double bands that would move at different rates. Then we have a time-based wobble. This is different from our whole screen jitter. This is basically line jitter that you can crank up to bring in some of that nice noise. Tape dropouts. These are these little pops that you're seeing here. You can dial the amount way down, so you just get a few here and there, or you can make it really nice and gritty. You could set your maximum length, so how far across. Oh, I cranked the brightness down. There we go. So yeah, if I crank the maximum length up, you get longer and shorter. So this is all like totally customizable. I think what I want to do here is add presets. So you'd be able to select at the top a like high quality VHS player that's connected via, you know, an S-video cable versus, you know, a really junky video player with an old Blockbuster tape that's been through 1,000 different people's VHS that's all stretched out and distorted and everything, and, you know, have a bunch of different effects that, or styles you can add, so you don't have to go through all of these settings, because I mean we got a lot more to go. We got ghosting, which ghosting and ghosting offset. If I do kind of the offset here and I hold my, I mean, we're so degraded right now, it's actually a little hard to see, but yeah, you could see off the edge of my arm here, we get this ghosting. that you would get this smearing that would offset from the tape head. So we can see that more easily on my arm there. And then you can have a single echo or a double echo. Some of what you do is very degrading. I should give myself some credit, shouldn't I? Band limit blur. This is like literally how, you know, we're introducing blur into the signal. And this blur, you would get blur from a VHS tape, and it would always be horizontal blur because that's how the lines were read off. You'd never have this vertical blur. And so it gives this very interesting form of kind of a horizontal smearing that you can introduce. And that really, in my mind, is one of those things that sells the VHS effect, right? I had a crappy VHS player. It would look like this on TV. Give it a really high quality player and you would get nice sharp edges. Did you go through and study all the parts of VHS noise? Or a bit of both. Second favorite. I talked a lot with Epos Vox about VHS noise. I actually went and looked at there's a few good VHS plugins for like Premiere and DaVinci Resolve, and I started looking at some of the stuff that they were doing and tried, you know, a lot of what they do are textures that get overlaid, and I tried to figure out how could we make VHS noise like this dynamically. So this is all getting created with the shader dynamically. So there was a lot of like looking at VHS noise. I will also admit I used, because I've got access to Claude right now, I used Claude to ask, like, what are the different styles of noise that a VHS would introduce? Because stuff is spread out all over the place on this. And it actually kind of helped narrow it down to give me some like links to some good sites. It was kind of like Google on steroids, but for a very specific basis. Normally I wouldn't use any of the AI stuff, but I'm forced to for a job I'm doing right now, and I'm trying to learn the tool, and I was like, I'll look at how this might be able to find me some examples of the noise. So hold on one second here, chat. That's the extent that I would use AI stuff on a project like this. Hold on, I gotta answer. Okay. Let's see. Then what else do we have? We have color degradation. So this is the real degrading part. This, we actually had some of these settings in our original. So let me just go ahead here. I'm gonna crank down the blur here. Let's turn off the color noise. And let's turn off the color bleed, offset, and smear. So, I said it's to -8 pixels. There we go. Because you can do directionality on this. So 0 pixels. So here's our normal color. You see, I got a little bit of ghosting going on here. If we go ahead and start to crank up some color bleed, you can start to see around my ear here and around the other side, you're starting to see some of that color getting smeared out. And I'm actually getting sort of like desaturated because that desaturation is working its way in. We can adjust that, I believe, by I think it's the color. Is it color drift? Yes. No, that's still desaturating me. Maybe it's the... No vertical smear. Hold on. Where is... There we go. The color offset. So... Oh, no. That's the direction, isn't it? Hold on. I'm trying to figure this out. Where did I believe it says color noise drift, but it doesn't seem to be doing what I thought it should do. Might have to look a little bit more into this. The idea here is that you're supposed to be able to get just smear of colors. You're seeing like ghosting of colors and stuff like that. Yeah, but second favorite, I know that with the OBS team and stuff, they're very hesitant to allow plugins that use AI to actually develop the plugin in, because it causes all sorts of issues with OBS, which is why I'm trying to be clear that I didn't use it for the coding of it. I just used it for kind of idea generation, and I feel guilty about it. I've got big feelings about AI. So, but the other thing that I think really sells the VHS is the color noise in the background. So when you would have a VHS player, you would get this chroma shimmer that would go on in the background, and you can either have that shimmer drift. You see it looks almost like a smoke going up, which you would get some of that when you would have very large, like, blobs of color noise like this. It's subtle, but this little rainbowy effect you get for this. And then you'd also sometimes get much smaller color noise that wouldn't really drift. It would just kind of be random color noise that would come in and out, and you can adjust. Like here, I've frozen the noise, it's not moving, or I can crank it up. I might want to let this go to 60. So basically every frame, 30 FPS, that color noise is doing the thing. We also have Luma Snow. So that literally is just the static that comes in. You can change your grain size a little bit here. This looks a little digital. I think it needs to be, like, cleaned up a little bit so it's a little smoother. Hey, Foldster, how you doing? And then we've also got sort of the grain speed, shadow bias, how much of the noise shows up in the shadows versus, you know, here you can see there's a lot more noise in the shadow versus the light color here, which was a thing. It was a thing. A lot of times that luminoise would become much more apparent in darker areas. And then finally, we've got the automatic gain control, which on old tapes would have issues because the tapes had issues, and so the gain had to constantly be changed and everything. And you'd have this automatic gain control. You'd get what people refer to as a brightness pump, where it would go in and out of brightness. And so if we crank this up, you can see now, I mean, that's taken to an extreme, but if we have this down at maybe like, you know, 12% or something, it's a subtle, like, change of the brightness that you saw in a lot of old tapes on a VCR that couldn't quite handle it. So yeah, I'm super proud of how this VHS has turned up. And you know, this is looking a little more digitally, so we can come up here to our tracking error here and dial the intensity back a little bit, which gives it a little bit more of that translucent VHS super crunchy noise. I love it. I love it. The other one I messed around with a lot was the NTSC filter. So I changed how tuning error works, because my tuning error was literally just introducing directional noise into one of the channels. So what we end up doing with NTSC is we end up taking the video, encoding it in what's called YIQ space, which was Y stood for luminance, I and Q together were like saturation and hue. And they were encoded in these wavelengths that were your radio waves, essentially, that were sent over the air. You'd have a primary wave, you'd have a secondary wave, and then the secondary wave would have an offset or a phase shift to it. And so the primary wave was your luminance, the secondary wave wavelength and amplitude was your saturation, essentially, and then that offset or that phase shift was your hue value, would get encoded in that. And what I was essentially doing in the old one is I was just introducing noise into all of these things randomly, which apparently, after reading a lot about how tuning noise would come into play, was not the right way of doing it, because there was an interdependent... Oh, what just happened with that camera? Something funny just happened. Whoa! What is going on with Puppy Cam right now? That's odd. My what's it called? My GoPro must be doing some stuff. Doing good, getting back into graphics programming. Very nice, very nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little retro effect being applied to Olliecam. But yeah, so what we would do is we would encode things. I added noise at that point and then decoded it after the noise. And looking at how you would actually get this sort of luminance chroma noise that would get introduced by something being out of tune, it was not just a random field applied to the whole, to like parts of the waveform. It was like this integrated noise that would kind of get injected into everything. So that's a long way of saying tuning error has changed a little bit. You can start to see some of the tuning error come in. Now we start to get some of that little bit of static coming into our signal. And then the static starts to take over. We start to lose our frame connection. And there we go. I am seeing a little bit of... Oh, here we go. So I would want to crank up the desaturation when I do this. So you're losing your chroma values as it goes, and then you've got your static. You can reduce your amount of snow, which is going to be more on the line of just this, but you would get a lot of that snow that would come in. We've got horizontal skew, which that's all of your desync on your horizontal lines here. You've got hue drift that would go on. Feels like that's exactly what it's supposed to be, Frank. That's exactly what this is simulating through introducing types of noise into this NTSC signal. You can also have hue drift that would go on. The Gerg, how you doing? Thank you for the help the other day. I just can't get the text to get smaller as it goes out of the bounding box, so I use max bound and wrap. Got it. Yeah, they change some of that stuff around. You also would get ghosting. So in your tuning, little known fact, let's say you had perfect tuning error. So you're in tuned perfectly, but you're in a city. You would get secondary signals that would bounce off of other buildings that would then be received at a much lower level. And they'd be delayed. They'd be delayed by the time that it bounced off. So you'd get ghosting. And we can do exactly the type of ghosting that you would get. It would typically be a lot more subtle. It would be something like this, similar to that VHS, but this was actually a physical phenomena caused by your signal bouncing off of other buildings, or if you were like between mountains or something like that. So you'd get this really subtle, hopefully it comes through in the stream. You know, off of here, we're getting the ghosting. The ghosting days, how I missed them. I know, right? And so, you know, you could get something way, way out of phase. You could get something just barely out of phase. And then that ghosting would also cause a hue drift to happen, which is why typically you'd use a very low strength on this ghosting. So that is the ghosting option for this. We then have our Luma settings like we did before. So Luma would cause this interference in essentially the Luma channel that would feed back into it, and you would get these bands that would come out. So if I crank up my band strength here, it almost looks like sharpening, right? And if I move my band size out a little bit, let's crank this band strength down a little bit, you can see we're getting these banding that's going on. And in the old version of the plugin, it was symmetrical. And that banding happens in a one direction kind of a way. Because of how you get this feedback, you get this echo that is essentially, we draw these pixels and we're working our way kind of across this way, and you'd get this feedback from the prior pixels. So you get these bands that would come out, and sometimes you get multiple banding trails coming out. Sometimes you'd get a single one. They called it ringing or banding, and that's what this is simulating here. But unlike my old version where it was outward, kind of symmetrically, I did a band on either side of every kind of harsh edge, and these bands tend to happen at harsh changes in luminosity. That's where that signal feedback comes into play. It wasn't symmetric like that. It was one directional. So this was updated to be one directional like that. I did add in a band trail option. So 100% band trail is the way it would happen. A lot of people like the symmetrical look here. So here we are going both directions. So you can vary that between 0 and 1 to get a single direction. At 50%, you get some of a leading band, but mostly a trailing band. So you're able to kind of dial this in for however you want it. Here we also get chroma bleed in the NTSC signal. This chroma bleed should be quite a bit smaller. Let's crank the bleed strength up so we can see it. And we'll do 100% bleed bias. So if I put my hand here, you can start to see around my hand, you're getting this sort of smeared color that's smearing out of my hand. Hey, coming in with the raid. Hey, how was your stream? What was going on? I hope you had an amazing stream. Welcome on in, raiders. I'm just showing off a few changes that I have made to the Retro Effects plugin. We've added a whole lot more to some of the plugin options here. Oh, this is what the front of... I know, Code. I know. Let's see here. You're going to need to update it soon. Yes, the update isn't out yet. There's a lot of code cleanup and stuff that's got to happen, but it's getting there. We then have like a bleed ratio, which is sort of the directionality of the bleed. How much of it is, you know, it's how much does it actually bleed chroma out, which is what you would see more, and how much does it bleed low values of chroma into high chroma areas. Stream was good, a lot of design and chat, and so very nice, very nice. Next one is a vintage film. Oh, that would be great, Walton. I've actually kind of got that on the list. Okay, then we got our number of bleed steps. This is the quality of the bleed strength, and oh, the bias. Here we go. So the bias is, if you look here, you'll notice like on my ear here, it's desaturating around the edge of my ear. That's because I've got the bias turned all the way off. So when we bias it, we would bias it towards, typically what you'd see in an NTS signal is it would be biased towards high saturation bleeding out into low saturation areas. But physically, it shouldn't be that way. So it's one of those things that, like, are we remembering it correctly? But if you notice here, the grayness on the edge of my ear, if I crank this up, now everything stays saturated, and it's just the color bleeding out like off of my hand here into sort of the unsaturated areas. Let's see. Then we have hue shift. So sometimes, well, let's oversaturate the bleed so we can really see that color coming out of our hand. It really shows up in like, I mean, that's, let's get rid of the oversaturation here. Like, you really get that bleed out of like a bright, purely red object like this. We could get a hue shift in the bleed, which is more of a, I don't know if you'd actually see this, but if you shifted, technically, if the hue channel got shifted in the signal, yeah, isn't that crazy, Foldster, how much that bleeds? Whereas, like, you barely see the bleed in my skin tones, but you really see the bleed in, oh, there we go. That's also because I got bias cranked all the way up. So, I mean, this might be, like, more, yeah, there we go. So, you're clearly seeing the red bleeding out there. And then you got hue jitter, which if we crank this up, it's kind of, maybe I have to oversaturate it. So you're actually seeing, do you see the like jittery lines in the high saturation areas? So this isn't actually the bleed. If I take my bleed all the way down and take my bleed strength all the way down, let's get rid of bleed oversaturation. We'll set the hue shift to 0. This is just a jitter that you're getting in sort of high saturation areas. So if I set my preview scaling to there you go. Now you can see it a little bit better. So this is a jitter you get in high saturation areas. And then lastly, we can introduce chroma noise, which now you're seeing in like the white areas here and everything, you're seeing noise getting injected to the chroma signal. So got all these different options for this. And now the one that was really fun to get in was dot crawl and rainbow cross color. Do any of y'all remember dot crawl? It's going to be hard to see dot crawl here. Hue jitter. I know Hugh Jackman. That's good, Krager. Let's go ahead here. I'm going to add... Do I even have it here? I might even have it here. There we go. I bet it's down at the bottom. There we go. So let's dial down that hue jitter. And actually, let's also get rid of all of our banding and everything. So we're going to crank our band size down. Band strength and count. We're going to crank our ghosting to 0. There we go. Okay, so we got clean... This isn't VCR noise, Sith3. This is NTSC. The VCR, you want to see VCR? We were just working on that before, or showing it off before. Here's VCR noise for you. All the VCR noises. So there you go. There is your VCR stuff, which I also completely overhauled. So let's go down to our test text here. Now, dot crawl. Dot crawl was a super interesting interference pattern you'd get in NTSC signals, where you would get bleed from your luminance values to your chroma values, and it would cause, in areas of high contrast, you would start to get, well, they called it dot crawl for a reason. Hold on, let's see here. Can I don't know if we're going to be able to see. Oh, it would help if I turn the effect on. There we go. So at these interfaces, at vertical lines, you would get these dots that would appear, you know, they would appear to crawl up. Sometimes if you had the right chroma difference, they would look like they were kind of moving diagonally across those interfaces. So you can set your speed of your dot crawl. So typically you'd get something around this like 6 or 7, the value that I have dialed in here. And when you zoom out, and in this case, you're not really going to see it too much. But you would get sort of this almost crawling feeling on these vertical interfaces. Now, you also had what was called a comb strength, or a comb filter. The comb filter's whole point was to get rid of dot crawl. So as we turn on the comb filter, you'll see that the dot crawl went away, but now we're getting this shimmer on horizontal lines. So if I zoom in here, you see we're getting this shimmer that goes off and on. This is why you didn't want a full-strength comb filter. You would get something here called dot hang, which would be on those horizontal surfaces, and it would be at a higher frequency, so you'd get this more shimmery look rather than a crawling look. So if you turn your comb filter all the way on, you get your dot hang. If you turn your comb filter all the way off, you get your dot crawl, and somewhere in between is about what TVs actually had, and you'd probably dial down the strength on the effect if you wanted to make it realistic. So I mean, we're absolutely pixel peeping here, but that is what dot crawl was. And what's wild about this, what's absolutely wild about this, is in the shader, it's like one line of code to get dot crawl and dot hang working. It's literally just the actual mathematical interference you'd get in that Luma line that was coming in NTSC. So I literally just like looked up what is the interference noise that happened and coded it in one line first try, and it just flippin' worked. And that's because we're actually simulating the whole NTSC encoding and decoding process here, so it basically comes along for free. Then I added a comb filter function, which let you do the sort of alternating between the two. Now, we dialed this all the way down. Let's start to enter cross color. So along with dot crawl, you'd get what they'd call rainbowing, which was the same effect of cross interference, but it was in the saturation and luminance channels, not in the the saturation and hue channel portion of the waveform, not in the luminance portion of the waveform. So it's essentially the same effect, but on the luminance channel, but it presents itself in a slightly different way. So again, this comb filter isn't going to affect it at all, but it would move out further from the edges. So now if we start to introduce both our dot crawl and our luminance, this is the kind of signal we had to deal with back in the day. Burbcraft, how you doing? Welcome on in. Good to see you over on YouTube. So that is the dot crawl stuff, which is what was an absolute blast. It was one of those eureka moments where it's such a dynamic effect that occurs, and it happened. It was so easy to just implement because of how the simulation of the signal was built. And it's wild because things like dot crawl and dot hang, you won't even really see them in the signal here too much, except you can kind of see some of that rainbow crawl on the edge of my ear. So you're starting to get some of it if you really pixel peep. And then finally, we have, oh yeah, the hum bar stuff. I forgot about the hum bar too. We've got all the standard picture adjustments that you had on your old analog TVs, but these aren't doing a brightness, contrast, saturation, tint adjustment on the output signal. They're doing the conversion exactly the way your old TV did it. So they're tweaking that incoming NTSC signal to change brightness, to change contrast, to change the saturation of the signal, and finally to change the tint of the signal. Where can you set the loose RCA cable? I mean, that would be with the composite input, right? How would that manifest itself? I'd have to think a little bit about how that would manifest itself. But essentially what would happen in an old TV, the reason I was always like, why is there a tint adjustment on the TV? Who would want to adjust? And remember, as a kid, you do this. You turn the tint adjustment and make, oh, everyone's blue. It's so funny, right? Ha ha ha. The reason for this is because the TV itself would have a shift out of tune. So the capacitors and the things that would interpret the analog signal would slowly change over time. And so you wanted the ability to adjust the tint back to normal as those components sort of died. But here we just have the ability to be a kid again and do those adjustments you know, in your filter, because we don't have anything that would actually cause that to happen. The final thing is the hum bar. And essentially, this was a bar of brightness that would slowly work its way up the screen. So you'd get this band of dark or this band of light, and this would happen especially in cheaper TVs, because of the way it would need to filter out there's black and white bands at the bottom and top that contain a whole lot of information about the timing and everything. And if you weren't perfectly in sync, you'd get this echoing signal of a dark band that would slowly move up the screen. In better TVs, it was very, very subtle. So again, it's just the ability to kind of, if you had a really crappy TV growing up, you know, maybe you had something like this going on. But yes, this was hum drift. And how strong the hum drift signal is, and kind of going from there. Hold on, let me look at these things quick. Oh. Hold on, chat. I need to take this. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so where were we? We had gotten through all the NTSC stuff. I also changed, it's a small change, but I also, actually there's one that's not super small. Let's see, that was VHS. I did some updates to the chromatic aberration plugin here, or filter. So the manual stuff remains the same, where you've got an offset and an offset angle for all of your different colors. So you're able to just kind of, you know, do whatever you need to do to send your colors wherever you want them. We'll set these all back to 0. What I did change was the lens. So the lens here, did a little bit of looking into some of the mathematics behind how, you know, in a lens, you typically have more CA at the edges of the frame towards the outsides of the lens, and it's typically sharper in the middle. And that's what this tries to do. I simply had like a linear fall off for that, and started looking up and looking at how that distortion typically falls off, and it's anything but linear. So if we start to do, I don't know, some red offset, and we'll do a little bit of negative green and a little bit of positive blue. I mean, I'm exaggerating this quite a bit, but in the center, you'll see there's none, and we really drop off kind of almost exponentially towards the edges. We also have some lens fall off here that can kind of essentially give like a safe zone in the middle, and where the fall off actually starts to take place. And then finally, I've got an option to check here that makes the fall off linear, and it turns out that it actually wasn't that different. So put a lot of work into this, getting it to, you know, for how it falls off, and it turned out that it didn't make a huge difference. We get that now with LED lights if the camera isn't in phase. Oh, we're talking about the banding. Yeah. Yep. So that's the new chromatic aberration. I also did a little update to interlace, where the way interlace worked before, if I do like, I don't know, 4 pixel interlace here. I'm going to exaggerate it so it's easier to see. I'll do like 10. There we go. So essentially, the way interlace worked before is I was doing alternating frames, where each frame switches the line that it's currently showing. Again, doing a little bit more reading up on this, typically when you would have interlacing happen, because these effects only happen when you were converting from analog signals, which were interlaced, to digital signals, which were not. Typically, you'd pick either the top field first, and as you can see as I move my hand here, see how there's no shimmering, there's no alternating. So essentially, it's always drawing the top frame first and then lagging the second frame. And then the other option is the bottom field first. So it just essentially reverses these two. So if I switch, it's a little hard to see. You see that they switch. If I switch to alternating, you see we get this sort of shimmering effect that happens. Typically, that wasn't consistent with how things were digitized, so you typically would want to pick top field or bottom field first. So that was a little update I made to that. The final thing that I did is, and it's not working real well yet, this is going to take a little bit of additional work. Let's turn the scramble amount down. I don't know how many of you grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and maybe there was a cable station that your parents didn't subscribe to, perhaps late at night when you're watching the TV. We won't go into the reasons why you might be watching late at night. But the scrambled TV channel effect, where you had to use your imagination as to what you were seeing. So here we go. We've got a scrambled TV effect. It's not quite there. The waveforms are a little bit too regular and condensed for me. I'm trying to get it a little bit more jaggy, but it's close. It's getting there. So yeah, there could be a streamer after dark redeem or something that puts the whole stream into scrambled mode, and occasionally you see it gets a lot more clear, which happened. So I also was doing research into how this whole thing works. Originally, I was going to build it into the NTSC effect, because essentially the way that they would scramble these... Oh yeah, it would be a good privacy scene. That would be a good privacy scene. The way that they would scramble these channels is it was all in the timing signal that came in. And so you'd have these sort of timing values that your TV would use to time the different lines. And it would essentially just scrub those from the signal. And then it would introduce some of a signal that would tell a descrambler basically how to set the timing then on the receiving end. I was hoping I could do that directly in the NTSC effect, but we're not actually sending the timing signal stuff over, so it didn't make sense. So I figured to split it out into its own. And again, it's not quite there. I'm not quite happy with it, but it's getting there. It's getting close. So we'll be working more on that one in the future. So there you go. Those are the updates. I ended up spending almost an hour talking about the updates that I've been working on for retro effects. But next up, we need to start working on the plugin manager, because I want to get a PR in place like today. And we've got a little, I need to, you're going to see me doing some learning, we'll just say. Doing some learning. So let me just go in. What do I need to do here? First, I need to, let's see, that was our blank plugin. This is VHS stuff. Face cam effect services. Here's plugin manager stuff. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is we need to git pull all of the I synced changes from OBS. So we are going to git checkout. I'm going to do a git pull. There we go. So now we would technically be able to rebase our plugin manager not fork branch. However, things got a little bit tricky. So Pat, who is one of the core devs for OBS, has been helping out with the plugin manager, has been helping to get things into place. And part of the issue with the plugin manager is that loading plugins is one of those kind of core things that isn't it's got itself all up in everyone's business, right? And so a lot of changes needed to be spread out all over OBS to make things work. When I did the original plugin manager, they wanted me to split the PR into 2 commits. A commit for core library changes and a commit for UI changes. So essentially I took all of these commits and everything I did, I squashed them all down, and then I cherry picked sets of files into the final sort of branch space and submitted that as the PR. So we had a commit for core library stuff and a commit for UI stuff. I figured that's what we were going to be doing for this one. And so I wasn't real careful about my commit, my commit history, right? I had commits all over. I think there's probably 100+ commits in this version. So Pat and I had a conversation, and Pat wanted to essentially have these 5 commits, and they all need to be able to stand on their own. And the whole idea behind this is, start by changing some explicit target stuff for CMake, and we should be able to build with these new CMake files and compile the original OBS as is. Then we want to introduce the concept of what's a core module versus what is a plugin module, right? And so we're making these changes kind of one at a time, sort of these major components that go together, but they all need to stand on their own 2 feet. Sandkit and Yash, welcome both to the stream over on YouTube. Good to see you both. I hope you're doing well. And so this one needed to be broken up into a few different spots, and we ran into issues where maybe some of these target enable functions in CMake were kind of dependent on some of this core module stuff happening. And so how do we split things out so that these 2 commits can kind of work on their own, if that kind of makes sense? And Pat had a lot of ideas on how to do this. He basically grabbed all my code from the branch that I was making, and he went to town over the weekend and just got all this stuff working, which I am super, super grateful for. And Pat has a super deep understanding of the overall architecture of OBS, and so anticipating, certain things that might not work. So he was able to do this splitting work a lot more effective than I was. The issue now, if we were just to submit this, is essentially Pat would be the author of the plugin manager stuff, which the OBS team doesn't want. I really don't care that much, but they want a good history of who did what, so that they know how to who to reach out to when certain things have issues. Exactly. There's different people with different specializations in the code base. And my specialization is, at this point, kind of the module loading and the plugin manager. These were more structural things that needed to be done for the Git commit history to work properly. So the goal today, after talking with Pat, is to essentially build my own version of this that is attributed to me, because probably 90% of these code changes were the stuff that I built. A lot of this stuff was just kind of restructuring things around. And what we'll end up doing, GitHub has a way in your comments for your commits that I can name Pat as co-author on all of these commits as well, but we kind of have to go at things from the opposite direction. Now, there's some different ways we can do this, none of which are particularly fun, if that makes sense. Hold on, I need to also open. There we go. None of which are particularly fun. Hey, Miss Cupcake, how you doing? Good to see you. So yes, we need to figure out the best way to go about this. One option, and I'm not even entirely sure how I would do the first step at this, because Git is honestly one of those areas where I know how to work really well with Git on a single person project. Once it starts coming down to this kind of stuff, it's a big blind spot. So I'm gonna be learning as we go along, and I'm very much open to suggestions on how we might do this. So one option would be to bring this this branch into my fork so that I can have both branches on my fork of OBS. And then I can use the cherry pick function to grab all of these changes. And I believe there's a way that I can do it that just brings the changes over and not the actual commit. Then I can do my commit, then move on to the next one, do the same, do the same, do the same, do the same. That's probably... you're gonna be flat for 8 hours, probably just 6. Have fun in the plugin. Have some good sleep, A. Oh, A. Real. If are you still here, A? Are you still here? You're in Japan, right? I think I remember you're in Japan, or maybe you've moved since then. I'm going to Japan in 2 weeks. My family and I are coming to. Oh, you're back in France. Okay, it's all good. It's all good. I was gonna say if you're in Japan. But you can help. I will ping you. I will ping you tomorrow your time. After your 8 hours of hopefully studying the inside of your eyelids, I'll ping you. I'll ping you. So yes, the challenge on that one is how do we get this branch into our fork? I'm sure there's a way to do that. But then we cherry pick, we reauthor all of these commits as our own, adding in Pat as co-author on them, and then we're good to go. Option 2 is we can go into each of these commits and we can grab just the files that were changed in each of these commits. And we could literally like do a copy paste job. If only you had an AI agent. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen, Walton. The OBS team is very much like any AI use is big no. So I am honoring their wishes. So we are going to use no AI agents to do this, although this would be a super convenient place probably to do something like that. But AI plus Git. So yes, option 2 would be we literally like copy and paste these things in. The other thing we got to do, I think, at each stage is run our formatting on these, so that we're formatting all those files properly. And I think this first one is the one that is actually a whole bunch of files, because a bunch of like existing plugins, like let's see here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 out of the 66 files changed were in this particular commit. Like, I think let's Google real quick. See, I still Google things. How do I bring another fork's branch into my own fork of a GitHub repo? To bring another user's fork branch into your own GitHub fork, you must add their repo as a remote in your local Git terminal, fetch their branches, and push the target. Ah, okay. Off topic, but loved the interview with Addie. Wasn't it good, Steve? I had so much fun doing that interview. That was absolutely awesome. Open your terminal, navigate, fetch other user, check out local branch name, other user, their branch name, push the branch up. Oh, but we wouldn't even have to do that. I think we can just check out. Yeah, once we grab this. Once we grab this, we don't have to push it, because we're going to then cherry pick commits as changes, not as commits, and then rewrite the history with our own commits. Oh, this is complicated. Let's see. And it's, I mean, Pat is going to have a ton of branches, so I'm going to have to probably clean this up afterwards, but let's see what we get here. So we have, let's, okay, God, this is AI. I hate using AI. Can I do this only pulling the one branch from the other user's repo rather than the entire other user org repo? Okay, so add other user, fetch other user, their branch name, check out their single branch, do a new local branch. Okay. Good. That works. Okay. So this is plugin manager CMake. We're gonna clear this. Okay. So we're gonna get remote add. We're gonna call this Pat the Mav. And it's gonna be their version of this repo. So let's see. We're gonna click back. Code. There we go. Okay, so we can grab. Pat is this other version of the repo. Okay. And then we can go ahead and git fetch Pat the Mav and then that branch name. I'm learning, chat. I'm learning. Oh, I already have it. Okay. So it's plugin dash manager dash cleanup. So this will be git fetch Pat the Mav and then no, Foldster. He's gonna be mean. Plugin manager cleanup.
Sir,
What?
I need to know if you're okay.
Oh my God, I'm fine, man.
I was walking by and I heard someone in distress. It
Yeah.
almost sounded like someone was
No one's backseating. Plugin
in the
manager
1972 streaming addendum of the Universal Building Code in section 427.
cleanup. Yeah.
Unauthorized backseating by chat during any code stream is a Class E violation.
No, not a Class E violation.
Sir, do you want me to step in?
No, I'm okay.
Do you want me to press charges?
I'm fine, man.
Are
I'm
you
positive.
sure?
I'm positive.
Well,
Oh,
Section 6019
Oh,
states
goodness.
that I can't issue a citation unless you request it. But I can't stand coding when I'm in this place because I feel disgrace because you're all in my face.
watch out, chat. Watch out. Are OBS doing anything to make a repo to get the plugins? Or, so Krager, the long answer is yes. The long answer is yes. All of this stuff is being built to have a plugin repository that will be browsable and installable and everything right from within OBS. So that it will no longer be just forum posts. So, yes is the long answer. Well, the long-term answer. Oh, look at that. Okay. Okay, so we have our branch. Let's open... Then we get checkout, local branch name, other user / their branch name. Okay, so this is going to be get checkout. Our local branch name, I'm just going to call plugin manager cleanup. And it'll be Pat the Mav plugin manager cleanup. Okay. So now we've got all of Pat's stuff here. I learned something new. Next up, I need to cherry pick these commits in a way that doesn't bring the commit over and only brings the changes over. That's our next goal. And I'm just, Pat was like, look through the commits, see which ones are, see which ones have significant changes by Pat, and then which ones are primarily my changes, and then whichever ones have significant changes from Pat, go ahead and co-author. I think I'm just going to co-author on all of them. I mean, honestly, Pat's been instrumental in helping me understand some of the underpinning stuff here anyways, so I am perfectly happy for Pat to be co-author on all 5 commits that we need to do here. So, let's get checkout. We're going to get back to master. Next up, we are going to get checkout. Let's call this plugin. I think I called it Plugin Manager 1.5, but let me look at what it's called. Let's see. Plugin Manager Phase 1.5. So let me just call this Plugin Manager 1.5. We'll call our new branch that we're going to build this on this. Right? Okay. So now if I screw anything up, I'm screwing things up in this branch. So we need to... Let's see here. A commit as changes from another branch. Hold on, I'm looking up. Okay, find the commit hash. Switch to your target branch. Get cherry pick commit hash. Hold on. What was... I was having a conversation with Pat, and he was telling me to... Some way that we can do this. Let's see. -- no -- commit. Hold on here. Hold on here. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna get cherry pick -- no commit and then the commit hash. Okay, so I'm gonna open. Where is the window with Pat's? Did I close it or did I minimize it? There we go. Okay, let's see the 5 commits. We are ahead. So this is going to be the first one we're going to be doing is this one right here. So let's see here. We're going to go ahead here. Oh. We're in our new branch. We're going to grab this commit hash. Oh, I hope this works. I hope this works. So we are going to get cherry pick, no commit, and then our hash. Hey Nick, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. So let's see what we get. Oh, there's no -- in front of cherry pick. Okay. So let's see. Get status. It looks like we are in a good place here. So where did you teach at? I taught at the undergrad university I went to, which was Duke University, and then I taught for quite a while at Princeton, and then did a lot of like high school level tutoring and stuff. So that was in my life long ago. It has been many years. Okay, so it looks like we have all of our files here, so this is good. Now, we need to figure out how to inject co-author on this. I suppose I should probably CMake this and make sure it all builds and all that stuff too, shouldn't I? Just to check for sure. So let's see here. CMake preset. What is it? It's preset Windows _ x64. I always forget what the... Oh. Is that the preset? Nope, no such preset command. Is it a dash? That... Could not create generator. Oh, boy. Oh, no. Are we at... Does... Oh... I didn't think... Hold on, I gotta ping someone quick. I might have to update my Visual Studio, which I've been keeping at Visual Studio 17 specifically to compile OBS. Whew. I must have missed that part. Let me look at the commits that I'm behind. Is there, let's see here. There would probably be... This is all front-end stuff. Hello, Burb. How you doing? Let's see. Do we have anything... This is all front-end stuff. Unless I'm doing the wrong command here. Let me make sure I'm not doing the wrong command. Let's see. I can never remember the let's see. Visual Studio 2022 or newer. Okay, so it... No, it's preset Windows x64. I was right. Why can't I see any commits since, well, let's see. Is there anything in here? This is all... Let's see. Update version of 30. Okay, so that was 32.1.2. So I would have thought it would have come after that. Shoot. Yep. Oh, okay. Okay, so I have to install Visual Studio 18. I might not be able to... This takes a while. Free Visual Studio. Visual Studio Community. Okay, let's see how bad this is. One thing led, I'm just getting from Pat. One thing led to another that required us to use CLang format 20 plus, and the easiest way to get that is on Windows is to use VS 18. Hold on. I'm just making sure before I install Visual Studio 18. I need... Hey, Julie! How you doing? Welcome on in. Yeah, I gotta make sure I'm not gonna break all of my other stuff by installing Visual Studio 18. Because Elgato would not like that too much if all of a sudden I was like, you know, sorry, I can't make any more builds of your plugin because I had to install Visual Studio 18. I'd have to like, how would you even do that? I'm sure Visual Studio 17 builds have to be compatible with 18. They've got to be. They absolutely have to be. Hold on. Visual Studio is our programming environment. So basically, it's the IDE that we use to actually code in. So I don't have a Visual Studio. I've got a Visual Studio Code window open, which is a different thing. Let's see. Visual Studio projects are highly backward compatible. A project created for Visual Studio 2017 can be opened and built in Visual Studio 2026. Okay. So we're going to YOLO this, and we're going to install Visual Studio. God, I hope I'm not making a mistake right now. Yes, we want to allow this to... Before you get started, we need to... Here, you'll see this. Get a few things from me so we can configure the installation. Continue. I might be calling the stream here. From what I remember, this took like an hour to install last time. Okay, Visual Studio Community 2026. Copy workloads, components, settings from a previous installation. Include installed extensions. That's fine. Next. The following packages aren't compatible. Oh, that's fine. Oh my god, it's 15 gigabytes. .NET desktop development, C++. Okay, it looks like we've got all the things here that I need. We're going to click install. And we're going to see how terribly slow is this going to try to go. Steve-O, doing well. How about yourself? I am trying to get the plugin manager. We're taking the final steps to get the plugin manager so that it can be a PR submitted to the OBS team. And in doing so, I need to incorporate a whole bunch of changes from one of the OBS core devs, which necessitates, unfortunately, updating my Visual Studio to 2026. And I don't know how long this is going to take. I mean, it seems to be going pretty quick. I mean, that 4 gigabytes downloaded pretty quickly. I know, right, Julie? Installing software while streaming. I mean, this is the way. Man, it's crazy. I hope my... Look at that. Look at how trippy that's my action camera. And it's like, I think it might be dying. Download dropping frames. Is it? No, it's not. Oh, wow. I did have 2,401 dropped frames. I don't know when those happened. All good now. Okay, so must have been the downloading. 2026 seems so fine so far on your side, but you're not such a heavy... Yeah, my only concern, Steve-O, is a bunch of my other plugin stuff is built for older versions of OBS, and I just want to make sure they'll all build properly and work properly in the new version of OBS, or in the new version of Visual Studio. Otherwise, I've got headaches. And, yeah. I'm fine now. Okay, good. And I thought I was on my side buffering when I said hi. I got it. Yeah, it must have been the downloading. Oh god, this is going somewhat slow. installing all the so the downloads have happened. I wonder, does it leave both installed for me? I haven't had to update a major version of Visual Studio. Like, this was the version we were using when I started making plugins. Okay, we're almost halfway through. They did do one good thing for once. You can have both. Nice. Okay, that's good. That's good. So I have a ripcord to pull if I need it. That's always good to know. That's always good to know. Yes, puppy cam. Uh-oh. Wow. Now I'm dropping. I think I was dropping frames locally. What is with it panning? That is so funny. Oh. Wow. Hold on, I'm gonna go restart the camera here. You want to see him fall into the GoPro anomaly? Hold on just a second. Okay, we're gonna restart puppy cam here. I don't understand why OBS or why Visual Studio updates every year. Why is there a 2022 version and a 2026 version? I think they're major changes. Like, I think 2022 was the last, like, major change to Visual Studio. The updates in between are just incremental, like, bug fixes and things like that. Hold on here. Ollie is a cute guy. And yes, we always give the good boy head scratches. Let's see if we fixed the issue. we can do neck. I can get in there and really get the neck scratches right there. He really likes the neck scratches and the chest scratches. Oh, those are favorites of Mr. Oliver. Come on. It says it's configuring. Oh. Ready? Are you gonna work? Or is my GoPro broken? Error creating the stream. Ollie might be stuck in this position for the rest of the stream. For some reason now, it doesn't seem to want to connect. You're just glad it's not Visual Studio 365. This definitely slowed down. We're now stuck at, we were stuck at like 48% for quite a while, but now it's suddenly moving again. What error are you having creating the stream? Do I need to restart? Hold on, let's try one more thing here. While this is installing, why not? I will restart my RTMP server. There we go. Okay, so let's see if it can connect now. Come on. You can do it. There we go. And it looks like it might not be broken. It's just not centered. But it's not broken now. Hold on. I'm gonna go make sure I unbreak it. Now we got Oliver. got the Ollie dog centered. He hears me talking about him. I can tell by how his ear moved a little bit. There is Ollie the dog. Okay. Y'all love this fascinating content of watching Visual Studio install. I'll tell you. Visual Studio Copilot Edition. Ugh. When are you going to build a GoPro go-kart cam and make a race with Ollie in the garden? You know, we actually have a chest and back harness mount thing for the GoPro for Ollie. It's I couldn't smooth the footage very much, but you do like a good loading bar. I know, right? And I don't think many companies are as experienced with making especially slow loading bars as Microsoft. I have a feeling for this particular bar, they probably brought in the help of the guy who does the zip file loading bar. Top tier content. And Julie, I wonder why I'm not partner. I mean, with this kind of content, it's shocking. Like, how could I not be partner with this kind of content? Oh, we're at 89%. It will probably make a blue screen of death at 98%. Something like that. Something like that. We could get you partnered easily with new requirements. How, Patrick? How could we get me partnered easily? It always seems so easily. 99%. Just plan some collabs with Stream together. With who, though? I would need someone big enough. I'm pretty sure Microsoft had a loading bar that went backwards at one point. That would not surprise me. Fantastic Plastics, DJs. Yeah, but I'm coding. How I... You aren't? I thought... No, Julie. I'm not. I have teased the partnership numbers, and then as soon as I was very close to like 3 months at those numbers, they like all of a sudden fell off. That's happened to me like 3 times. So I joke about it, but just slide in speeds. I've seen so many DJs get partnered in the last 2 months because of new stats. Really? Okay, installation is completed successfully. We recommend restarting Windows. I don't know if that can happen. Restarting Windows? I will make a new PowerShell here. And then we can try this. Okay, but the problem now is I don't have a Visual Studio. How do I... Oh. How do I get a Visual Studio 18 generator for CMake? How do I get a Visual Studio 18 2026 generator for CMake after upgrading Visual Studio? Updating during a stream. I know. You have to restart the whole VS Code, I think. Oh, upgrade your standalone CMake installation to version 4.2 or higher. Okay, hold on. Oh, there we go. I swear I have a CMake. I do have a new version of CMake. Which version of CMake is this using? I'm not running any Visual Studio right now, but I think the problem I'm seeing here if I do C:... No, I don't want recycle bin. Program files, CMake, bin, CMake, version. That's 4.3.3. So we're not loading the right CMake. My path is pointing to some random... Oh no. How do I change... Oh my god, this is one thing I hate about PowerShell. I don't know where it's loading this other path from. There isn't a which command, I don't think. What is PowerShell equivalent of which? Look at that, it was the top. Okay, it's get command. Oh. Get command CMake. Yeah, it's this strawberry one. Classic path in registry. How do I see or change my PowerShell path? Change it permanently. Recommended. Press the Windows key, type env, and edit the system variable environments. Okay. Edit the system environment variables. Okay. Click the environment variables button. Under user variables. Okay, so it's probably this one right here. System variable environment will need a restart to take effect. Okay, which of these? Oh, this is beautiful. Looky this. Do you see that strawberry path here anywhere? No. No, you don't. Where the heck is that coming from? Let's see what is this one. Ah, here we go. This one has the strawberry stuff. What was that even for? Like, I almost don't want to get rid of it altogether. Why don't I... Why don't I temporarily add... Or you know what I can do? What if we just do this? And we just run... I don't think I need an ampersand out front, don't I? Do I? Error generator does not match generator previously used. Either... Oh, yeah, I have to clear out all this crap now, too. Okay. Oh, okay. Where does the CMake cache file end up? Crud, I don't want to... What do I lose if I delete this build folder? If I just nuke it? I think any plugins I've installed. Yeah, I think what I need to do... ENV path. Oh, okay. Thank you, Dan. Let's go ahead. That makes sense. Can I copy the tag? Yeah, there we go. Are you sure you want to paste 3 lines? No, this thing does not actually do what it's supposed to. Oh my gosh. Permanently for your user. Okay. You know what? At the moment, I'm just going to do this with this for now. I think I got to just nuke this build x64 directory. And yeah, let's do that. Move to recycle bin. There we go. You can also just set it for your project to the other... Oh, great. Does not match the generate... Okay, apparently those don't live there. Oh, is it the X... Where the heck do those files live then? You know what? We're gonna delete both of these. Move to trash, delete. Delete. It might be trying to do in CMake. Ah. Well, these are all the common CMake files. It looks like there's this CMake build number that must get generated, but no, it's not actually in there. Let's try that. It might have been going into... Yeah, it was trying to make a x86 directory too, even though we don't build for x80. This will fix the thing. And we wait. And we wait. There we go. Okay, so configuration should be done. Disabled features, enabled features. That all looks okay. Let me open this directory quick. And we're going to go into build x64. open with... I think I want to just do Microsoft Visual Studio. That should be the new one, right? Yes. I don't want to sign in. Okay. I want dark. General, that's fine. Start Visual Studio. Oh boy. You open full screen. Shrink this down. Visual Studio has been updated. Really? I did not know that. Oh, I don't know if I like this. It looks different. There's like more spacing and stuff. Okay. Let's go ahead here. I am going to set my debug properties. For debugging, I'm gonna do -- portable. Is it portable or portable mode? Let's see here. OBS command line argument for portable mode. -- portable. Okay. Apply. Okay. And let's make sure this compiles and runs. And this will take a minute or two for the first build. Here we go. It's thinking about doing the thing. Come on, buddy. I mean, it seems to be compiling, which is definitely a good sign. Oh, there we go. Failed to initialize. Graphics module not found. I'm thinking, for some reason, it's thinking it needs to run in OpenGL mode, which that did not build. So now it should run. Oh, graphics module not found. Did it not build the Direct 3D version? There we go. If for some reason it chose not to build... It chose not to build the Direct 3D graphics module when I just clicked build. So we're good. We're good now. So tools, plugin manager, runs, enabled plugins. Okay, so this is before any of the UI updates were installed. Let me just take a look real quick here. If we take a look at in our build directory, we should have a rundir. Is it down here? There it is. Debug. Okay, so All of our core modules are getting put in OBS Plugin 64-bit because we haven't implemented that change yet. This particular set, where is... This provides the counterpart to the existing target disable function, which also allows the functionality to be factored out of existing helper. Okay. So this is target enable function, so we don't have to do a target disable instead, which makes perfect sense. So what we will end up doing now, I need to figure out, okay. GitHub, add co-author to multi-line commit message. You must place the co-authored by trailer at the very end of your commit message, preceded by at least one empty line. Okay. So we should then be able to come back in here, get status. So there are all of our CMake files that have been changed. Okay, we're finally figuring this out. You did not have the customary... I didn't. I forgot to post that, Walton, but thank you. Thank you for posting. So we're going to get add dot. Changes to be committed. Okay, so they're already all added. So we're going to do git commit -m. And then we got to do a multi-line commit here. I think I can do this in one line with multiple quotes. I need to grab... Pat's commit message. So this is going to be the main commit message. And if I hit return, I hope this goes to the next line. It does. Good. And then I can go ahead here. Copy all these. Paste multiple lines. Oh, no. Oh. What? Oh, how does PowerShell work with quotes? Can I do single? There we go. I'll just do single quotes. I think this should work. And then... Oh. And then I need to put in Pat's co-authored by, which should look something like co-authored by, and then it would be, oh, where is it, Pat? You told me what to put. We're gonna get this down pat. It's gonna be Pat the Mav space Pat the Mav at users.noreply.github.com. Dertra, thank you very much for the Prime sub. Absolutely appreciate that. I think this is correct. Let me just verify one more time with... Co-authored by trailers to the commit message. Yeah. It looks like this is how we do it. Okay. Look at that. CMake, add explicit, blah, blah, blah. Oh, did it not put these all on? Oh, are you kidding me? Did it not put line breaks in? I think it didn't put line breaks in. Hey, DeGrolly Bear, how you doing? Let's see. What was... Where's my commit? I can never find this stuff in here. Where's my list of commits? Is it in the graph? Oh no, it looks like it's on multiple lines. Disable, let's see here. Add explicit target enable function. Yes, it did put it on multiple lines, I believe, because this would fit up here if this was all on one line. There's the co-authored by... Okay, I think we're good with this first one. So next up... Next up, we have got this commit that we've got to bring over. I add the concept of core modules. We are going to copy our commit. And let's see, if I go in here, there should be cherry pick, no commit. And we're going to do that. There we go. Get status. Okay. So this adds the concept of core modules. So once again, let's go ahead here and CMake the proper CMake like so. And I just need to make sure now that this dumps, once we do our build, this should dump everything in a core modules directory. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to delete OBS plugins out of this. We're going to go back to OBS Studio here, reload everything. Just thinking about it. And then we're going to build. Does this have to rebuild the whole project? Ah. I guess that makes sense. Or at least it's got to rebuild all the plugins, because I deleted them. No, it looks like it's... Oh, no, like front end. Yeah. No, it's only rebuilding the plugin stuff. I think. We'll see. No, I feel like now we're rebuilding everything. Is this gonna be the way? I think this is gonna be the way. Oh my god, it's 1 o'clock. I'm getting really hungry, chat. I've probably got another 20 minutes in me before I need to call it and go get food. I also have to check, is there rain incoming? Mini Singularity has a soccer game this evening. I'm really hoping it's either going to be like pouring rain. Oh yeah. There's definitely some thunderstorms coming in. Okay. So this built. Let's make sure it runs. Okay, it runs. If we go to add a source, we see all of the different source types, which means our plugins have loaded. Our plugin manager is still like this and is empty. And now the key is, if we go back to here, oh. Okay, plugins are still being put in OBS Plugins. So maybe that change doesn't take place quite yet. What are we doing in this one? Core modules are main OBS Studio functionality implemented as runtime modules, but are conceptually considered mandatory and the application is complete without them. Code Rushed coming in with the raid. How was your stream, Code Rushed? I hope it went great. Today we are working on OBS core code, specifically the plugin manager. Oh, there we go. Change the name of core module output directory. So that's a separate commit. So I've been working for quite a while on a plugin manager for OBS, contracted by the OBS team to do it. The first bits of that were in a recent release of OBS, and we're about to push it to kind of the next phase. And this is an OBS core developer went over all the code, made some changes and some structural things to get the proper commits in the PR. And now I'm having to bring his in, renaming them or reattributing them to me, because 95% of the changes in here were me, and switching Pat to be a co-author on these changes. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But this looks good. Introduces configure time dependency of core modules on libobs, a generation time dependency, producing a library target with names of all the core modules. Awesome. Are you interested in hearing an OBS feature request? I will listen to an OBS feature request. Yes. I have very little sway in which OBS feature requests actually go in, but I'm happy to listen to it and see if there's anything I can do. Okay. Let me just check here. Libobs should have a core OBS. Is it a header file? I'm trying to remember what the OBS core module file is called and or where it lives. Is it in util? No. Where do you live? Is it in OBS modules, perhaps? I am not seeing it here. Okay, let's look at what changes were made with this commit. Okay, so enable core modules, add module subdirectory of host. Oh, okay. So this is just adding this to, yeah, okay. Core modules.c.in. So there is a core modules.c file, which we should be generating. You have 300 plus scenes, and I'm using embedded scenes. When I see an embedded scene in the source list, I have to go find it among the 300 plus scenes. But if I could right click or double click on the scene in the source to jump to it, that would be awesome. So Code Rushed. Check out my my plugin. My cow plugin, quick access utility. It will let you create a dynamic scene list, or actually a dynamic source list, that when you're in a scene will expose access to every source in that scene, including embedded in all subscenes. It also gives you like a hotkey, like command space. Yes, QAU, quick access utility. A hotkey for command space that'll let you type in a source or a filter name or anything that that gives you access to it. It doesn't quite do this, Steve's very own, but I think it is ultimately getting to what Code Rushed wants to get to. But I can also add that to Cow. I could add that to Cow. So I hope that helps. I hope that helps. So this is generating our OBS core modules -C -in. Why am I not seeing that here? Oh, it's right here. libob's core modules. Okay. Perfect. So we are generating it. Sounds like it'll help. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So we do have libob's core modules popping in as an entry here. And that should have generated in source files, yes, a list of everything. Perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to make sure was showing up properly, and it is. So let's go ahead here, and we are going to git status again, git commit. We are going to paste. I got to do a single quote again. Single quote. Boom. And then. Oh, you know what? I think there's supposed to be a blank. Oh, no, because that's header. It's larger. Yeah, I think we do it like this. Paste. Paste. Okay. Oh. And then we got to do our line of AUTHORED by. You need to get Cow again. Cow is a good plugin. I need to give Cow some love. I've got a bunch of ideas for Cow. I've got a ton of ideas for Cow. I just need to implement them. Copy. Okay. So there is commit number 2. The next one is the one that's going to change where everything lives. So I'm going to back up here. So we've done the first 2. The next one is change the name of core modules output directory. Moves first-party runtime modules into core directory rather than the OBS plugins directory to better differentiate them from legacy plugins as well as existing third-party plugins. This change also requires the existing plugin directory to be explicitly added as a possible module search path by application logic, as libob's internal logic will not add this search path anymore, and thus third-party plugins would not be discovered anymore. Okay. So let's do this commit. So we're going to copy you. And somewhere here we got our cherry pick. We're going to paste you in. And oh my goodness. So git status. Yeah, so this would have changed a bunch of CMake stuff. Updated our ops basic, our Nix and Windows. Oh, yeah. So this is changing where things load from in the old way of doing things. Nice. Your OBS installed a portable. Yeah. I highly recommend portable installs. I highly recommend portable installs. Okay, so we need to rerun this guy. Reload, recompile, and make sure that everything is going into the proper directory. Okay, so let us switch back over here, reload all. And let's build. This might not run. I think it'll run. Yeah, this will run. It'll just take a minute to recompile all the things. Oh, and I guess I've also got to make sure, well, we'll check it when I get over. I'll delete that directory and try rebuilding it. It shouldn't rebuild anything. I forgot to remove our old plugin directory. This is content, y'all. Ollie's head is like, uh-oh. There we go. Look at that. He's a cozy dog. Does this... Okay, it is working. My Stream Deck had like... Why are you not swapping back? Come on, there we go. Okay, so this ran. Plugin Manager runs. We're going to close this. We're going to go over here to our run directory, debug, and now we have a core directory. Nice. And that core directory has all of our plugins laid out in their new form. We're going to delete this directory. I'm just going to click play again. It shouldn't rebuild anything because that directory isn't used anymore, and it didn't. Perfect. We're going to go back here, and so now, instead of having an OBS plugins directory, there's just a core directory. Woot, woot. Okay. That now works. So we're going to go ahead here and get status this, get commit-m, and let's get our commit message for this. You know what? We're going to go here. That's going to give me a little easier. Where'd you go? There we go. Okay, so change name of core module output directory. Give me all these. Paste. Oh! Oh no! Hopefully this... Okay, good. Does that backslash... Oh, shoot. Dang it! Undo last commit. Or can I just edit the... Oh, God. You gotta be kidding me. Backslash doesn't escape a quote. What is wrong with you? I think there's a way to edit our commit message. Changing a commit message. Edit commit message. Your approach depends on whether you are modifying the most recent commit or an older commit. Modify the most recent commit. Okay, so I use amend. Okay, so if I do git commit amend. There we go. Insert. Here we go. As a possible module search path. Okay. Moves first party module rather than... Why is that first line red? I don't like that. Now I can copy paste the rest of this. Internal logic will not be added to this path anymore. AUTHOR by. Colon, or you could just commit without an M to edit using that's that. I always forget that I can do that, so that's what we're doing right now. I do need to add my co-authored by message, which I have to copy every time because I want to make sure I get it right. Copy. At the Mav. And okay. There we go. So that one is done. And next up, we need to cherry pick the next change. Y'all, is this getting a little repetitive? It's getting a little repetitive for me. So I want to copy this. So this adds core module loading functionality. It's a separate path just for loading core modules based on the list of modules created. Paths to load core modules platform specific, but not changeable for users. Instead, path directory. Instead, path discovery is implemented for each platform separately, generating the necessary module loading package directly before handling it. Yeah. Okay. So let me copy the hash and we will cherry pick this guy. There we go. Get status. Okay, so this has got the modules loader. Okay, so this is all on the libObs side. It's got all of our module loading stuff properly for Mac, Linux, all that stuff. We delete the individual loading stuff from the OBS Nix and OBS Windows file and OBS Cocoa. That, I know I see exactly what's going on here, so that is good. So let's once again do this. Just check it to make sure it all works properly. And then we just have the last one. We're going to get through this. Then I can, like, hopefully get this as a PR in the hands of the team. Reload all the things. And that still is loading stuff in. Let me just make sure we have our... Let's see. OBS, let's see. This is libObs. That's where this should live. OBS core module loaders win. So it loaded in the Windows version of it. Hooray, hooray. And let's try running it. Of course, we'll rebuild everything just for good measure. This is how the sausage is made, y'all. Come on. Uh-oh. I just got notified of a severe thunderstorm watch. Wouldn't that be classic if we get, like, a bunch of hail on my brand new roof? That would be just the way of things. Okay, so plugin manager here, we're seeing all of the same stuff. But we are seeing that our plugins have loaded, otherwise this wouldn't run properly. Stress test the roof. No, thank you. Yeah, we're loading all the plugins. Loaded modules. Available. We're good. We're good. Okay. So this one has been done. Let's do a quick little git status, git commit, and whoa! It remembered because of how I brought this over. It remembered the commit message. So I haven't had to retype these commit messages out this whole time. Oops. We're gonna do co-authored by AUTHORED-by. Okay. And then I gotta grab Pat's. Why are you not using AI to code? Because I am choosing not to use AI to code. Additionally, the OBS team has requested that no AI be directly used for like generating code. I mean, obviously if you have like an autocomplete in your editor, that's fine. But that no AI be used to generate code for OBS. So I am, as they have contracted me to do this work, I am adhering to what the client wants. So I do use some AI in one of my projects because it's required that I use AI in one of my projects. But for the most part, since a lot of the stuff I do is OBS tangential, the AI team doesn't want AI involved with the code.
No. Yeah, and it makes me feel more like I'm the hacker, not the AI. So, oh yeah, look at that. It's actually even showing me with Pat the Mab as the co-author. So, let me look at OBS Loader Mac or Windows and just make sure this is properly attributing things. I really don't care that much, but so if I look at the Windows version here and I look at an individual line, oh, do I not have... I don't think I have GitLens installed. That's why I haven't been. I was trying to look up some history stuff and it wasn't showing up. I was like, why isn't any of the history stuff showing up? It's because GitLens wasn't installed. I don't want you to necessarily be open right now. But, okay, perfect. So let me now take a look. I'm going to close my GitLens window. I am going to open back up libobs loader win, and yes, okay, so these were now listing as authored by me, co-authored by Pat the Mav.
Perfect. Okay, we're making this work. We're making this work, y'all. So next up is the final one. And where is Pat? Here we go. So that's OBS core module loading functionality, right? Add core module loading functionality. Perfect. So now here's the final one. We are going to copy this. We are going to do our cherry pick. Bring the code in. Get status. There we go. So we got all this stuff just sitting there. Let's do this and compile one more time. This is the most important one to test. So if this one doesn't work, then we're in big trouble. Perfect. And then we're going to go back to here, reload all, rebuild the thing. And once this works, stream's got to be over because I gotta get food. I am hungry. Come on, you can do it. We need to show the compiling. I should have the compiling cartoon automatically pop up whenever we're compiling. We can enjoy the. Oh yeah, it doesn't like to switch scenes while I'm compiling. That's interesting. Brings everything to a crawl. I wonder if I switch like this. Oh yeah, it's just there's Headless Puppy Dog. And now the tricky part is getting back. Oh, there we go. I was able to get back to it. There we go. Tools, plugin manager now has a failed item, so this UI is going to all be updated by Warchamp. So we got installed, failed. Browse and updates are coming soon. And yeah, that should be good. It loads properly. I'll need to test this with some plugins, but I think I can go ahead and commit this. Oh, there is a blank space here. Okay. So I might have to go back and insert a blank space in those prior commits. Co-authored by... There we go. So I will have to go and add that extra space in to those prior commits, but that should be pretty easy. And with that, let's find us someone to raid because I need food really bad. I am hungry. Oh my god, can I type? Let's see, who do we got streaming? Let's go ahead and we will raid our friend Nutty. Because Nutty, I'm sure, is working, testing a song request thingy. So let's set us up the raid for Nutty. Our raid call will be Finite Raid. If you have the emotes because you are a sub, we will do Finite Raid with a whole bunch of Clarkio eyes, because we all love the Clarkio eyes. So there you go. There are the 2 different raid messages, or do whatever you want. I don't care. Just have fun. Nutty has a great stream, especially if you're interested in all things OBS. He builds so many awesome things for streamers, tutorials for streamers. For those of you who are over on YouTube, thank y'all for hanging out today. Go find an awesome sauce live streamer to go hang out with over at YouTube. And I look forward to seeing y'all next time. So bye-bye, everyone over on YouTube.